Hey guys, what's up? Today I'm going to do a short autopilot tutorial. Now, I'm sure most of you have heard about autopilot, how it works, what it does, but for those of you who don't know what it is, or if you don't know how to use it, it can be kind of a hassle, especially when you're just trying to maintain an altitude, and you don't want to have to be constantly moving the joystick or yoke. So anyway, this entire console, this top console right here, consists of the autopilot. Now basically, it's pretty simple once you get used to it. Like, if you hold your mouse over it, you see auto throttle switch. Okay, so auto throttle, referring to the throttle. So if you notice that, also that's where the engines are displayed, engine stats are displayed, and so anyway, you would turn on your auto throttle switch, and then you would say how fast do you want to go. You want to go 1 mile an hour, or do you want to go 200 miles an hour? I mean, it's all up to you. So I normally go about 250 when I'm under 10,000, so you click 250. Now if you notice, we're not going anywhere. My parking brake is off, see? Now it's on, now it's off. So we are not moving at all. So I'll go ahead and put the parking brake. Now, why aren't we moving? Well, because we do not have our speed hold switch on. Once we turn that on, then we'll take off. But remember, if you're going to use the speed hold, always have your auto throttle switch on. So when you're getting ready to take off, just flip that on. You can keep it on the entire flight. Flight direction switch. That basically allows the autopilot to be able to control the aircraft a lot better. Here, let me hit these lights. So basically, what? Okay, I'm getting a little distracted here. Let me get back to this. Your nav and your GPS switch. Right now, mine sets to navigation because I normally don't use a GPS when I am doing my flights. I normally use ILS by via the air traffic controllers. So I normally have it on navigation. Heading. This controls where you want to go. Now, if you will look right at the bottom of the screen, you will notice a dashed purple line. That is not where you're pointed at. The solid white line is where you are pointing at. And we are pointing at 356 degrees. But notice the purple line is a little off. Well, if you watch this, our heading was 356 degrees. That is exactly where our nose is pointing. So I will turn this to 356, and look at that. It's also displayed over here. The line is now perfectly centered. So now if we took off and we had it and we set our heading, if we click that, set it to 356, we will continue going at that heading until we turn that off. So now let's move on over to our altitude. It's pretty simple because it says altitude at the top. Now if we go to our primary flight display, it says we are about 620 feet above sea level. So if we set it to 100 feet, if you notice there's a purple box, that means that it is down there, and we will keep on going, bring it up. If you notice right here, the box is getting higher, and we're at 600, we're roughly at 600 feet, and now if you look, the purple box is right there. So if you keep on watching this screen right here for the purple box, I will move this up, and it's getting higher. So let's set it to or let's say 3,000 feet. Okay, So we're at 3,000 feet. And if you look, it says 3,000. So we're only at 620 feet, and we want the airplane to go to 3,000 feet. And what we did earlier, we want the speed to be 250 miles an hour. So we have our flight direction switch on, which was what I showed you earlier, right here. Now that we have our altitude, we have to figure out what our angle of attack is. And if you don't know what that is, it is what will the airplane be, what angle of degree will the nose be at? Like, you don't want it too high, or else you can stall, and you don't want it too low, or else you can run into the ground. So I normally set mine at 2,500, simply because it's easier for me. Okay, there go the flaps. I'm gonna presume you know how to do most of that. Okay, so I normally set mine. Now make sure to put it at the up. Now if you start doing it like that, -200, you won't go anywhere. So I want to set it to 2,500, because that's a common angle of attack, or AOA as they call it. So this right here, CMDA, that is the autopilot master switch. That is pretty much what you need to get your altitude to work, to get your heading to work, and your course to work. Now the speed is controlled by the auto throttle arm switch. So basically, let's go ahead and take off, and I can show you what this does. So now I am going to turn on. Now once I click this button, watch the engine throttle, or I'll zoom out here so you can watch the throttle levers themselves. Okay, I'm gonna click this. Now look at that. It's trying to get us to 250 miles an hour. So I'm gonna go ahead and release it once it gets to 50%, or a little earlier, and there we go. We are off. Oops, need my flaps a little lower. So I am not controlling the throttle at all. It is doing it entirely by itself. Okay, so we're going pretty fast now. We're doing about 120. So we are going to... Okay. We're going to try to hit the button. But my mouse isn't working right now, so I'm going to have to do it. My virtual cockpit isn't working for some reason. So altitude hold and autopilot master switch. That controls our altitude. We already have these two on, and it's going to get us to 250 miles an hour. You don't really need to worry about this unless there's a certain place you want to go. I normally keep this off because I want to control how the plane goes myself. So now that we have these two lights on, I'm going to unpause it, and look at that. This is our angle of attack I was referring to. How high the nose points up in the air is its angle of attack. And then you can control it however you want. Okay. So let's set this a little higher. Okay. Now the throttle is moving all by itself. Start pulling up the flaps. Now look at that. It's going to try to get us to 250 miles an hour. Now it'll take a while because we're going really high up in the air, and it doesn't want to over throttle and then have to pretty much cut the throttle back. That's not a very good way to work. So now that we're starting to get up a little higher, and once you get closer to your altitude, like we're at 3,800 feet, we will try. You will start turning that down, and if you notice as we point that down, look, our nose is starting to come down because now if we want to go up, click it, and now it starts pointing up. So that's pretty much what you'll do for your angle of attack. And we're getting really close. Look at that. We're just about at 5,000, so we'll set that to 5,200. And then look at that. I'm not doing anything. It's pushing down all by itself. And now look at our altitude. Just about at 5,200 feet, and look at our speed. It's a little high because I've been pulling back my flaps and the fact that it was working so hard to get up in the air. But look at that, keeping it nice and straight, and now I can turn all I want, but the speed and the altitude will remain relatively the same. And that's pretty much how you do it. I have a ILS landing for an auto land. I have an entire mini-series about that if you want to go check that out. I'll put a link in the description if you want to go take a look at that. And that is pretty much how it works. Control your speed right here. If I want to go faster, put it up. If I want to go slower, put it down. And look at that. Pink boxes. We are looking good. And if you notice, 356 was the direction of the runway when we first took off. So if you want to turn that, I click that, and watch this. Plane's turning all by itself because it's gonna line up with what heading you set it to. Okay, now look at that. Remember the purple line we were talking about? It's the computer, or the airplane has basically aligned itself. So that is pretty awesome. And that is pretty much how the autopilot works. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'd appreciate it if you would take a moment to click the like button or leave a comment. I will hopefully be posting some new videos soon, but if you've been following any of my other videos, I am going to be starting a new computer build, so I don't want to be putting up too many videos that are crappy quality, like this one, for example. That's why I'm doing more tutorials than anything. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next video.